All right, let's get back
Please
to
gamble responsibly.
Yes.
let's get back to LeBron James. We haven't had a chance to talk about his arrival. I think he's got his fingerprints on everything that's going on there.
Of course he does.
He's, people said that he wouldn't come without somebody. He came without anybody. He's had conversations with Durant, who's going to be a free agent next year. Decided to leave $61 million on the table, so he would be a free agent. Plus, you never know. Now Kawhi's in Toronto. I've heard whisperings that the Lakers may be more interested in looking at Durant than they are. Shakes out. This team could be without another superstar this year, which they obviously are not going to have. If these kids mature and advance and make the progress they've made over the last couple of years, this team, LeBron's going to make them a heck of a lot better.
Oh, no
and
doubt.
I think even without a second superstar this year, they're not going to win the division. They're not going to win I think they'll sneak in. I think they'll be a playoff team. I think they might get into number 8.
Well, Vegas has them. Vegas has them as the top 5. They got them at 52.5 wins. That's the over/under on the futures, on the totals there. 52.5. And
from 31 to 52.5.
That
guy's brought you.
That's a pretty good improvement.
I would say that LeBron is more of a 10 to 15 game improvement, but they've added a lot of guys. It feels to me sort of disjointed. I was talking with a buddy and I said it feels like the version of a reality Big Brother television show. It's like JaVale McGee, right, who's a running joke, on the NBA on TNT. A guy who blows in LeBron's ears, Stephenson, right? Lance Stephenson, and then Michael Beasley, who's like the poster child for smoking weed, right? But his stats are pretty good, right? He's among like the top 5 guys in points per minutes played, right? So there's a lot going on. Yeah, well, exactly. Exactly.
And LeBron played with him in Hawaii, right? So he knows the positive aspects that kid brings. I remember when he was at Kansas State, right? He filled it up, and I just don't know if he saw eye to eye with some of these coaches, right? Last year, right? I think it was. I think he finished with the Knicks last year. But I you know what? I'm going to interrupt you here. I think the thing that I can't wait for, and again, I told you guys at the very beginning, the NBA, right? I'll watch it here and there. I can't wait for Rondo to be the starting point guard, and Ball's kid is right in the pine, and how vocal he's going to get. Because when they interviewed him on CNN, they said to him, so how do you feel about the Rondo acquisition, and him contending for, the starting position? And he said, he's a great backup. He'll be a great backup. And now you got Hart, who just became the MVP of the what is it? QPST league or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
You're right. And they were very, very well balanced, and Hart. So now you have 3 legitimate. Well, I don't know if Hart's a legitimate guard, but I mean, you have 3 pretty good guards, right?
Yeah.
Showed that he can take it to the hole. He can
score.
finish.
Yeah.
And that he's starting.
He's a hard-working guy, right?
Yeah.
So I can't wait for that whole Rondo Ball situation. That's going to be and how Magic handles it.
The thing that we're seeing again, things are changing so much in sport, and how the analytics in baseball and in basketball, it's sort of like positionless basketball, right? Is LeBron going to be the center because it's a drop off? It's JaVale McGee or Zubats. Right? That's it.
Yeah.
That's our centers, right? Yeah. They couldn't even sign Lopez,
which I
thought was hilarious because all he wanted was what did he get? Like $4 million?
He got $3.5 million from Minnesota or Milwaukee, whoever it was.
I guess they didn't want him, or I guess LeBron didn't want him.
I like.
But not. I don't.
Not a wow factor.
Not for me. Certainly not at center. But again, there's some intriguing lineups there, right? LeBron at center. Kuzma at the power forward, Ingram at small forward, Hart at shooting guard, Rondo and Ball. That's a small but very intriguing lineup, right?
Yeah.
And there's plenty of other guys. There's KCP, right? They re-signed KCP.
Right.
A lot of people forgetting that.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
There's some scoring there, some proven scoring.
What they've done is they've really improved their bench, right? Their depth of their bench.
Yeah, they
but
got more
now
depth.
I guess the whole thing is, does the run and gun still come into effect, or now do they kind of sit him down and say, LeBron, kind of offense are you comfortable running or being in? Because I don't think it's right to just beat his body up and down that floor on a running. Happen in that offense.
The thing that he's going to run, he doesn't mind running. It's when he has to bring the ball up, when he has to be the point forward. That's when he's being guarded and hounded. But
Right.
if he can set up and run off picks, that's when he's going to be at an advantage. And now you've got guys who can distribute the ball like Rondo and Ball, and
Yeah, they can get the ball to him.
They can get the ball to him. And it's going to be very intriguing. I think the big difference in whether they can make that 52.5 is whether or not Luke Walton can keep the harmony happening in that roster.
Right.
There's a lot of time, and I'm looking at this thinking, Mikhailuk, right, who was lighting it up, showing some depth. Is he going to even make this roster? I don't think so. Mo Wagner probably. Offensively in anybody, right?
No.
And he's not a big body, and you can move him off his spots, and he's sort of a stretch 4 guy, but not big enough to play the 5. And again, it's going to be very interesting to see. Again, positionless basketball, right? Can they defend enough to win 50-plus games?
Does Walton have the experience to handle all these egos and all these personalities?
Well, I think there's only a couple guys you got to really worry about, right? I think it's going to be like
Beasley?
it's going to be Luke Walton, your coach, and LeBron James, your assistant coach, right?
That's right.
And the only ego you got to worry about is probably Ball, right? I think everybody else, and then kind of see what happens with the kid from Kansas State. But I think that Beasley, yeah. So I think there's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to be. I think they're bringing in mature guys, right? I don't think Walton's going to have a problem. I think it's how they run this offense is going to be key, and obviously how they play defense. So, but again, the West is going to be insane, right? Cousins goes to San Francisco, right, and he's at Golden State. That team. I just got a deal here where Carmelo now is going to sign a $2.4 million vet deal with the Houston Rockets.
Right.
So he's going to go down there. So I don't know how much that makes them better, but I mean Houston, Golden State, the Lakers, and don't forget there's some other guys
Utah.
that are, Utah's good,
Utah's
Denver's good.
Yeah.
I mean it's just the
Yeah,
West
heck of a
is
division.
the West is going to be people beaten up, and that's what I was I know that this is probably a 4 to 5 year plan with LeBron to kind of get this whole thing done, but he's going to find out like, wow, living in the West is really on the East. Like I really didn't have to worry about anybody else.
Got to worry about everybody out here.
You got to worry about a lot of guys, and I'll tell you right now that Utah and Denver, those are scrappy teams.
Those are good teams,
right? And then
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't think, honest to God, I personally don't think LeBron James worries about anything. I think he gets pissed when he loses, right? And he doesn't like it when his teammates let him down. But I don't think that he worries about anything. And I think when he signed with the Lakers, it was all about LeBron James. And about the fact that there was some talent there. But I don't think he looks around and says, "Wow, Golden State's in my conference. Wow, Houston's in my conference." I think he just comes in and says, "I'm LeBron James, and I'm in LA."
That's right.
And teams will win wherever he goes, period. And I don't think he worries about that. I mean, at some point it's going to get down and where the Lakers lose in the first round or the second round. He's on a 3-year plus a player option year. But he's not waiting around that long. This team's going to be competitive immediately, and it's all about the tweaks. It's all about what happens with this and what happens there. And you look down at that roster, and you think, boy, if they could just unload that Luol Deng contract,
Oh,
right?
right. Christmas.
If they could just unload that.
Yeah, that is just an albatross.
They won't.
No,
they won't be able to.
They can't.
They'll have to stretch it.
Stretch it, yeah.
They'd have to stretch it. Just stretch it and eat it.
18 minutes in the season opener last year, and that's the only time he played. Never played again. Never saw him again.
It doesn't seem totally fair because he seems like he's a really good guy who handled it well and didn't say anything publicly about it.
Right.
It doesn't seem fair. But
Why was
knows why. I think that at some point everybody else looked around and said, "What the hell was Mitch Kupchak doing?"
Yeah.
And it's more punitive to Mitch Kupchak. It's more an indictment of Mitch Kupchak, but it's more punitive to Luol Deng. And now you can't unload him. And now that poor guy,
Nobody wants
nobody's going to take that. It's
Yeah.
too big of a contract. Yeah. But at some point, if they get him get it off the books and stretch it over, they take that stretch exemption, they might be able to, somebody might take him.
Did you see where I heard coming in? Dwayne Wade signed a 3-year, $25 million contract to play in China.
Really?
He's 36 years old, 38 years old.
Must be getting his own shoe
$5 million
deal, too.
a year.
Wow.
That's not just.
Why would he do that? Opt out of that, but
Do you guys think there's any chance Kawhi would end up with the Clippers?
Sure. I think if there's any truth to the fact that if there's even an inkling of truth that he would rather not play with LeBron, that he wanted to be the big guy, the number one.
Yeah.
Then why not?
Yeah.
What's funny is there's no Clipper talk at all, really. Huh? There's nothing really going on there other than re-sign the coach. But the thing I think with Kawhi is I think the Lakers are loving this because I think he really does want to come play with the Lakers. But now they're going to say, okay, you show me that you can get through the whole year and not have an issue, right? So that was the whole thing with maybe Cohen and getting him to come over and doing this whole big trade thing. Obviously, that would thought I don't know if he's 100%. I really don't know if he's really 100% healthy. And I like the idea that he's somewhere else and you get to monitor him for a whole year and see how he does. And then, if you want to unload, you unload or go after him and get him. But yeah, I could see him signing with the Clippers, but I don't know what's going on really with the Clippers right now. I don't know what their mindset is, or if they're just kind of going young and trying to build up again. And I know they dealt Doc's kid away, but yeah, like Vince said, I could see him there. But I'm happy that the Lakers didn't unload and
I didn't want him to give up any of that.
I really wanted to see
talent.
this guy show me that he can play a whole season without getting hurt.
Yeah, I think if this thing works out, I mean, if he does sign with the Lakers next season, they're familiar with LeBron now. They know how to play with him, and you bring Kawhi in,
and you see how he's doing medically, right?
Yeah.
So
I wouldn't have given up Ingram and all those guys for.
No, and I don't think the Lakers were ever really going to do that. I think the fear and what a lot of talk was out there is that you saw what happened with Paul George, right?
Exactly.
The Oklahoma took a flyer on him, and he really didn't want to go there, but he played the season. But they had a whole year to sell him on Oklahoma, right? On OKC, right? They had a whole year. Same thing with Kawhi. Toronto's just saying, we're going to sell him, right? So they think they can re-sign him. It's the only reason they would do that. And
Sure.
I don't think anybody in Toronto, despite the fact that they love DeMar DeRozan, right?
Yeah,
great guy, great ambassador for the city, a great player. There's nobody's questioning. If Kawhi's healthy, they're a better team. I mean, Kawhi is a top 4 or 5 guy.
Yeah.
So Toronto has a year to sell him, and I'm not ready to say he's going to just move. He's just going to want out after a year.
Right.
We said the same thing about Paul George,
Yeah.
right? And I guess he didn't want to come to L.A.
Yeah. Yeah, he never even gave him a meeting.
Yeah, which I find astonishing. I really do. I couldn't figure it out. I didn't understand it, except to think that, he didn't want to play with LeBron.
It's about the only thing you can think about.
It's the only thing that makes sense. That once he knew, he had to know LeBron was going to sign.
Oh, yeah.
He had to know LeBron was
yeah.
going to sign with the Lakers when he made his decision to re-sign with OKC.